So, decided to make this video series about heart health. My own experience with it. More sort of an education. I wouldn't normally talk about my health, uh, on social media, Facebook, all that. But because of my story here, I just felt like maybe there's information that others might find interesting. Maybe they're going through it themselves, or it could be one of those you don't know you're about to experience something like I did. And so what happened was, I had a stroke due to a tiny blood clot that hit the back of my brain. This was in November of 2021. And it was one of those things that just came out of the blue. And like most people who probably experienced something like that, you don't see it coming. A lot of people don't even know I went through this because, again, it's not something you really talk about um, outside of your family. But I got lucky. It was a small blood clot, and what happened was I was just sitting there one night watching a movie on my iPad on the bed. Everything was good. I got up, actually went and sat down in the bathroom for a minute. Uh, all of a sudden, I just lost the vision field on the right side. It was like everything was, it was like right down the middle. Everything was dark on the right side. And it wasn't a one eye situation. It actually is both eyes, it turned out, were affected by this, but it was just the right field of the vision field. Um, so, I came out of the bathroom, was like, hey, Sherry, something's not right with my eyesight. And we both knew this, I think in the back of our minds, it was probably a stroke situation. So, I mean, we were, boom, out of there, into the car, to the hospital. And, I was there for uh, that Thursday night and Friday night. They did some tests the first night, CAT scan, that kind of thing. It wasn't really till Friday morning. Well, and really, there was some people who asked all the right questions and seemed to kind of know this is probably what it was because obviously they've seen this before. Um, but Friday morning, had the MRI and uh, that revealed, the blood clot. So obviously they put me on all the meds, the typical barrage of stuff, and I was there uh, all Friday and got released Saturday, so a couple of days. In the process, with some of the other tests they did, the heart echo to basically do an ultrasound of the heart actually revealed that I had a slightly enlarged heart, but more importantly, I had a very weak beating heart. I had a low ejection fraction, which is the force of the blood or the amount of blood that actually is ejected from your heart with each beat of the heart. And so a normal rating, obviously I've gotten educated on this, might be around a 50, 55%. Mine was just under 20%, and that's considered very high risk for cardiac arrest. And so, uh, it's an underlying condition, apparently, and I had no idea I had it. When you hear people talk about heart disease and things that are a silent killer from high blood pressure to other things, this is another example of it, and this is why I wanted to share this story. This is a silent killer. I mean, it could have been a whole lot worse. I got lucky, like I say, but a low ejection fraction or a low EF is a really bad deal. And it's interesting to me, probably mostly because, when I turned 50, and I'm 56 right now, but when I turned 50, actually, it was probably more like 51, I went in and had all that baseline testing done where they do all the tests. And you get a nice baseline at that age to know where you're at. And I mean, even the colonoscopy, I mean, the whole works. And none of the tests that we did involved a heart echo or, an ultrasound of the heart to see this. That's the thing that's most interesting to me is that, and probably the reason it's not done is it's not cheap. When you have one of those done, it's about a $3,000 procedure. So depending on what insurance plan you have and the offsetting discounts, you know, what it'll actually cost you. But I guess that it seems like it's a little more expensive than some of the other kind of tests that I had done. But, you know, some of the other tests at the time, you know, they listen to your arteries, look for blockage, all those things. I had a clean bill of health. This would have been, like I say, when I was probably 51. So between 51 and 56, you know, here I am, and I have this thing. It's now what I'm dealing with. So I'm going to do just this short video as an introduction video. That's what happened. Had a blood clot. Had a little bit of I had a mini stroke. The vision loss was temporary. It was like a darkness on the right side that all faded away pretty quickly. Within a couple of days, it was just more spotty. Fast forward to today. This is, you know, almost August later, you know, in 2022. And I still have a little bit of a floater, you know, that on certain backgrounds, I'll see it more than others, but there's something that's still there to this day that I guess after this amount of time, I will have to live with this. When I went to I've been to the eye doctor, my ophthalmologist, a couple times since, and they did the deep vision scans and all those things to look for whatever they could see. What, you know, the good thing is, I mean, it's not like they see it in the scans as some kind of eye, you know, problem. So it's I don't even know how to describe it, but it's not like a real eye health issue, the floater that I see, but it is some kind of result of this thing. And again, after this many months, it is probably one of those things that maybe it'll never go away. I don't know. That's part of it all. Okay, so I made some notes just to make sure I kind of covered what I wanted to in this this video. This is going to be one of 4 parts about it all. You know, the thing when I think back about leading up to this, I had high blood pressure, but it was at a hypertensive level, not like a high blood pressure level. But it was to the point where even my doctor and I discussed it several years ago. And at the time, I had gained weight, and I was a little bit heavier. And I told him, well, I don't want to go on like heart, you know, blood pressure medication just yet. I'd like to try to adjust some things, especially my diet, my weight. So that's what I went after. And I actually lost 40 pounds. I want to do a video on that because I never did. But I went on a keto diet, and I was very aggressive with it, and I lost 40 pounds. It was pretty amazing, actually, what you can do with a diet like that, and never really had any problems, any side effects, health issues or whatever. But, you know, that also raised my conscience about the carbs and the carbohydrates in our diets and all the things that we eat that, you know, contribute to your body not really being able to lose weight. But anyway, that's a whole other story, and a good one, and one that we all need to talk about and share, I think, with each other, because I can even watch it to this day. I mean, I've been more mindful of my carbs, and when you know, don't have a lot of carbs in your system, you'll naturally lose weight. It's a fact. It really works. So that's what I did, but I still had a little bit of high blood pressure, and you know, I think that led up to some of this, but apparently it's the, you know, this ejection fraction thing. So whether it's, you know, something that is in my genealogy, I don't know, you know, it's not one of those things where they can say, here's how you got it, but you have it. Okay, so what they do is they put you on a bunch of medication. I went on Entresto, which is super expensive, but of course you can get into the program and get support and get it for like $10 a month versus $675 a month. And so anyway, I've been on that. I'm going to be on that like for a long time. But there are ways to like get the discounts, and you can even go to your cardiologist and see if they've got samples. There's a lot of different ways to get it. But anyway, so I'm on Entresto. I'm on that's for heart health. It's a great medication. I'm on blood thinners. I'm on a statin for cholesterol. I'm on a blood pressure medication. I take a baby aspirin now, you know, and I think that was it. There's all five of those things that I'm on, and you know, it's for the foreseeable future, maybe forever. And that's typical for a lot of people that run into something like this. You'll be on meds. So what they do is they put you on the meds, and then for the next 6 months, they try to see if that improves things, and more importantly, get that a low ejection fraction up over 30%. If you can't get to 30, 35%, then you're going to have to get, in my case, a defibrillator. It's a hard word to say. But, you know, an implant, ICD. So I'll have a whole video about getting one and living with one separately. But I only got up to 6 months later, I only got up to about 25% on the low EF. So the medications didn't improve things. And I had adjusted things too. By the way, I'm a drinker. I typically drink, you know, Manhattans and martinis on a regular basis. You know, your doctors, your cardiologists, everybody would say stop drinking. Obviously, I adjusted aggressively to bring that way down. But I haven't completely stopped. I like to drink a little bit here and there, you know, I'm a social drinker. But I don't, you know, it's one of those things. Does hard alcohol drinking on a regular basis contribute to any of this? You got to throw it out there. I don't know. It's a factor. I don't smoke, and that's a good thing. Smoking, for anybody that has heart issues, heart disease, is an extremely risky thing. But, you know, drinking as well, having a healthy diet, don't have obesity. I mean, all these things are factors. Most of the folks, when I would go into the hospital, they're like, wow, I mean, you don't normally look like the person we see with a heart problem like this, because a lot of people might have other, you know, symptoms, and it could be like swollenness, it could be your weight, it could be, you know, smoking, it could be, well, drinking, and it could be a lot of things. But a lot of times they would look at me and they're like, you don't look like the person that normally comes in here with a serious heart ailment, you know. So that is part of my story. It's like, I don't look like your typical patient, but here I am, and you know, I'm 56. So just a couple other things. Is there family history involved? Well, it does, you know, my dad has had a couple of blood clots, and my mom, now his didn't lead to anything serious. They caught it in time. My mom had a blood clot. She's got on her right side, her carotid artery is 100% blocked, and that led to a stroke for her, you know, at a later age. And complications from that actually led to blindness in her right eye, unfortunately. Now she's living today. Both of them are living today. And she's fine. As it turns out, my sister, she's on blood pressure medication. I didn't know it. Now, she doesn't have anything like I do. But, you know, there may be something lurking in her family. That's part of it. Kind of hard to say. But thinking back, when I think about how I was feeling before this all happened, I do remember some things. I felt like there was a certain level of, I don't know if you would call it exertion, like you felt exerted. It's a sensation. I felt that once in a while. I would feel heart flutters, you know, almost like your heart, you know, you just felt these things. And sometimes even in my head, I would feel something. And I think those were all some indications. There was something toward the end. I remember a little bit of shaking in my hand, you know, like if I held it up, and it was a little bit shaky. And like if I was using a mouse, you know, during my work, trying to double click, I was having trouble double clicking with my finger. These are all just little things that I was noticing, and I think it's important to share. Hey, you know, if you feel any of these little things, or any of those, you know, type of things that lead up to this, gosh, I think your body's telling you something. I didn't know at the time, but I think those are all little signals from my body that something wasn't quite right. And of course, I didn't know better, and So I think to end this segment of the video about what happened and what started all this, that's it. And I was in the hospital 2 days, had all the tests, and the low EF, the ejection fraction, is right now kind of the focus. And because of that, other things, now have transpired uh, to ensure my safety. And so we'll talk about that in the next segment. So there you go. Uh, Thank you for watching.